Ladies and gentlemen, my very first guest of the podcast is a good friend of mine. He's played guitar for Gloria Gaynor, Jason Crabb, and is currently playing for Lindsay L. He's played on a Grammy Award-winning album with Jason Crabb. We met in college, we've played at coffee shops together, and he is still today my very first call when I need a guitar player. I also love having him on drums, bass, keys. He is legitimately my favorite musician on the planet, Austin Goodloe. Hawky doke.
Okay.
I've never done a podcast before, so I don't know how to begin.
Dude, like this.
Austin Goodloe, welcome to the podcast. You are the very first guest of all time.
Yes.
And no one knows what they're doing. No one meaning myself.
And me. So this is awesome.
Yes. So how is your quarantine been as far as music? Have you felt like it's gotten better for you or worse for you? Or just like generally, like how are you doing in this?
Dude, okay, well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is awesome. So everything's changed. Everything is different now for how I listen to music, how I write music, how I create music. It's all been flipped because now it's come down to what's important and what, like when I'm writing something now, I'm writing for me because it's just me in the room. There is no audience. There is no the medium is a lot different just being isolated. So it's just everything's really, really personal.
Yeah.
But listening to music too, I mean, I'm constantly wanting to listen to something that's upbeat or kind of moving a little bit just because life isn't.
Interesting.
So, like, even if there's, like me and my roommates are listening to like a lot of lo-fi hip hop, and it's just like, something just kind of giving motion because our motion has stopped completely.
Totally. So real quick, I've always heard this and I don't really know what it means. How would you define lo-fi? What does lo-fi mean?
Lo-fi to me, like low fidelity, like poor quality on purpose.
Okay, that's what I thought. But because there's hi-fi. So does fi stand for fidelity?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like, it sounds like it ran through an old cassette tape that got ran over by a car.
Okay, got it.
So it has crackles
what does fidelity mean? Because all I can think of is infidelity.
Oh, man.
So infidelity is cheating, but fidelity is like...
Fidelity might be another word for quality. Oh, man.
I'm about to Google it.
The school teachers are going to annihilate me on this one.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what it means. A lot of times when we say musical terms and listen, and we're afraid to admit that we don't know what it means. And so we just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Fidelity, faithfulness to a person, cause, or belief demonstrated by continuing loyalty and support. And then another one, it says the degree of exactness with which something is copied or reproduced. So that's probably where it comes from. Interesting.
Like how close that recording is to the original source. Could be.
Yeah, maybe so. That's interesting. So like hi-fi would be like just super accurate, very high quality HD.
Yeah.
And then lo-fi would be a very poor copy of that.
240p.
Because the fidelity is low. The exactness of the copy is low.
Huh. You learn something new every day.
Yes,
I've said hi-fi and lo-fi forever. I didn't know what it meant.
I have always been afraid to say it because I don't know what it... But you were right. Like, you were right. We just didn't know. Because that's a thing. Like, especially with music, so many people will say these terms and they have no idea what it means. But they're afraid to ask the question because they don't want to appear like they don't know what it means.
Right.
One of the best freedoms I ever had was when I just came to grips with what I don't know. And I was willing to just ask a bunch of questions, even if it was a dumb question. Like, I'm down. If it's dumb, whatever, it's not going to be dumb when I understand it now. Like,
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've noticed that you do ask the questions always.
I do.
And sometimes we'll be in a room and you ask the question and it's a question that I had, but I didn't want to ask it. And so I'm just listening kind of off in the distance like, oh, that's what that means. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. My biggest pet peeve, I'm afraid of announcing pet peeves because then I feel like anyone who does it immediately feels attacked. But one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone says like, nice 13 or nice 11, like C11 or ooh, a 9 chord. And they have no idea what that means. And it's not a 9 chord at all.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not talking about when people are like, what is that? Is that a 9 chord? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you add one note and they're like, sharp 11.
Nope, just like, 7.
Don't try to, like, it's not, I can't do that. Or they pretend that, they pretend or they think they're supposed to be able to know. And so they pretend that they can just hear something and say it's like all the qualities of the chord.
Yep.
There's some people who can do that. Like our friend Jay Newsom,
Beast mode.
Jacob Collier, probably better than anyone on the planet. Like just different
Charlie
people who
Puth.
actually can do that. I have a pretty good grip on music and theory and chords. I can't do that.
Dude.
Like if someone's like, I can't tell you what the heck that is. I'll have to look at it. Like people just try to assume like, oh yeah, what is that? Yeah, it sounds like a flat knuckle 9/5
Right.
chord.
It's a flat knuckle 9. It's similar to me if I went to a restaurant and I don't know anything about cooking. I'm also the worst cook of all time. So to me it's the same thing as me taking a bite of something and going, oh yeah, salt. Salt. For sure.
Salt.
And the chef's just like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I'm remodeling my house right now. And just really on a budget, but just like fixing things that have needed to be fixed for a long time. And Shanley and I have a couple friend, and his name they're named Noah and Erica. And Noah like is a professional remodeler. Like his career is going in, seeing people's houses, and then telling them what he can do, and then goes in and remodels, like does all the stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of guys I feel like might be intimidated by a guy coming in and his strength being your weakness. I am the worst at putting stuff together. Like I am horrible at putting stuff together, and being a handyman, I am a footy man. Like I don't
But for hands.
The way that people can do things with their hands. Like when I try to do it with my hands, I might as well be doing it with my feet. Like I can't do it
with 2
at
feet.
all. I can't do it. But when he's come into the house, like it's the best thing ever because I constantly just ask him questions. I'm like, oh, so if I wanted to get rid of these wires, how would I do that? And he's like, well, you can do it a couple ways. And I'm like, in heaven. I'm like, sweet. And he's like,
sick.
well, all you have to do for this is if you take the bolt in here, do that. And then I'm like, just ask. I love it. I love it. So now I'm like, this is really simple. But like I hung up those guitars. I'm like hanging up curtains again, like the simplest of simple.
Dude, you got to start somewhere though.
But like I drilled a hole into a
Stud.
The stud in the wall and put a screw in to install like a again, this is the simplest stuff ever, but it's a big deal for me. And but that's one thing that carries across life. Like we got to be open to just be comfortable with what we don't know. Be excited when we have the opportunity to learn something that we don't know instead of assume that we know and then miss out on learning.
Absolutely. A buddy of mine literally yesterday, we had a conversation about this, and he said the best advice he ever got was to always have a mentor and always have a mentee. He said, because then that shows that you're never too good to learn anything, and you're never too good to give it away.
That's great.
So you're always learning and you're always teaching. And so to have that mentality is just amazing, even if it's something simple like curtains. You know, like you're starting from somewhere.
Yeah. 100%.
And you're getting and you're moving forward. Like that's awesome. I love that so much.
Yeah. I'm not going back. I'm moving ahead. I'm moving forward. Yo, that song goes. Ugh,
What a line.
gosh.
What a line.
And that you make all things new in you. Like,
Man.
you can do so much with that.
We did
okay, let's move on.
So many chord changes to that song.
So you are, you're going to get embarrassed, but you are,
It's fine.
I tell people often, and you are my favorite player on the planet when it comes to all instruments. So just your like musicianship, it's my favorite of anybody that I know.
Wow.
I can find guitar players, piano players, drummers, bass players that can all like technically do like harder things or more things that you can do, but I can't find anybody that does something that I like so much, so consistently. And that like your musician spirit, I guess, is just, it's just my favorite. So, to dive into that, like you've played on, I think all albums I've ever done.
Yeah.
My first EP, I didn't know you, but since I met you, you've been on everything, and you've done solos like Hocus Pocus. We tracked that solo in my living room.
Dude, that was fun.
But so to dive into like your musicianship and your artistry and your influences, like who did you grow up listening to that influenced you to play and hear music the way you do?
Man, so I know that I started off on piano when I was 6 years old in piano lessons. I remember the first time I don't even know if we've talked about this. The first time I ever had my whoa, I want to do that moment truly was to a Doobie Brothers record.
Okay.
And I heard the intro to Minute by Minute, which is, I haven't played it in so long. But it was on a Rhodes. And I remember I put that up. We had a CD player. For those of you that have been born in the last 15 years, a CD player is this disc that looks like a DVD. Anyway, and I put it up on top of our piano, and I just sat there for hours and learned it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. And I just loved it so much. Also at that time, it was this weird mix of, I had a G3 DVD that had Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and Yngwie Malmsteen doing like shredder 80s guitar stuff. And I remember standing in front of a TV with a red Epiphone flying V, and trying to be these guys, wishing I had long hair and a fan in front of me. And then it kind of formed into this, a buddy of mine in my youth group had an iPod and showed me John Mayer. And I just remember being like, this is it. This is the ultimate level. This is the highest level of music.
Do you remember the song?
Okay, everyone laughs. It was Waiting on the World to Change was the first Mayer song I ever heard.
That was your like, oh my gosh, this is it?
Yes, and
No
now that's
kidding.
like that. Now that's my throwaway. Like, oh, he had to do that song. But it's still like the bridge is still incredible.
It is. What did you hear in that song that got you?
Just the groove, like the drum groove, and just the way it moved, and the guitar solo. It like did this reverse thing into it.
Yeah, you're right.
And I remember just thinking, this is crazy. It's like, it sounds like stuff I'm hearing on the radio, but there's guitar solos and there's a breakdown. And I'm like, this has been missing in my palette of music. And so it went all uphill from there. I went crazy into Mayer, and then I was looking up his influences and listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan and listening to all these people, and it was just kind of this weird mix of Doobie Brothers, 80s shredder guitar, and blues strat.
Yeah. It's interesting about Mayer. It's like the musicians in the world, like they list their heroes. Most aren't pop stars. So like most aren't like arena acts, right? Most is like you said, Steve Vai, and we would say now like Dirty Loops and Moonchild and Tom Misch and like those types. Like we have our killers, but what John Mayer was so good at, and this is what I tell people is a goal for my like goal in music is making music is he was able to make it at a high musical quality, throw in guitar solos, like you said, breakdowns and all this stuff, but it was and brilliant chord changes and like all these moves, but was also able to reel in the 12-year-old from Arkansas, like that just likes, Katy Perry. Like he reeled her in too, reels everybody in. Stevie Wonder did that, maybe better than anyone ever, in my opinion.
Right.
Is he's got these songs like that are insane, like chord changes and key changes and melodies that are moving around outside of the typical scale. And he's got an arena of people singing all those crazy changes along with him. And I think that's what John Mayer did. And it's interesting that he was kind of the guy that a lot of musicians like yourself and myself and others grabbed onto, because it's like, oh, look, like it's what I'm hearing on the radio and it's pop, but that solo was crazy. Or there's a breakdown. Like I can hear the drum kit, like all this stuff. And yeah, I think that's why he's so prolific for musicians and for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think before the listener right now goes, did he just compare Stevie Wonder to John Mayer? I say yes.
Yes, I did.
And we're not talking about, like Stevie Wonder versus John Mayer in a corner and they duke it out musically. They duke it out musically. There's a joke in there.
You.
But if you can make an impact on your genre, and the musicians are just on the gear threads, what pedal was he playing on this song? What pedal was he doing that? What did you know that Stevie Wonder played drums on this track? Did you know that he blah blah blah? And then you get the musicians nerding out over here.
Yep.
But then you get the household full of non-musicians. When they hear bam 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 bam, they just lose their mind. So you've got the musicians just nerding out.
Yeah.
You've got the non-musicians just like, this is my favorite song.
Yeah.
Of course I love it. It's Stevie Wonder. And when you get both, and I think John Mayer's done a great job of that, you've got us nerding out. We've all been trying to figure out what that snare is on Vultures since 2006.
Right.
But then you've also got people like that love John Mayer so much, they say that their favorite song is, what's the cover he did? Oh my goodness, it's slipping my mind. Free Fallin'.
Oh, right.
I love when people say that. But they just love Mayer so much that they listen to everything he does.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. And it's crazy because right when he said that, like, then the non-musicians freak out over ba, 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 ba. But then that line is nuts. I can't play that like right now. I have to sit down like dum, bum, bum, bum. Ba 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 da da ba da 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 ba 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 da da ba da. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the whole arena of non-musicians, of like soccer moms and their kids sing along note for note. I was at a Stevie Wonder concert and they go, and he says, "Okay, I'm done. Concert's over. But if you guys can sing this line, I'm going to give you 2 notes. If you guys can sing the rest of the line, I'll keep going." And it's just like silence. And he just goes, but, that's it. And the whole arena goes, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, my Sherry Amore. And they just go right in, pretty little, the whole arena.
What a flex.
Oh my gosh, totally.
In the best way.
So that's the goal. I mean, that's when you've won.
Oh yeah. 2 notes. And I'm thinking like, I don't think we can do this. And the 2 notes are
but that's just. It's just a step. It's dum dum, and then the whole arena goes. It's
Dude, the only other person that can do that would be John Williams. So it's like Stevie Wonder and John Williams can sing 2 notes. You know the rest of it.
yeah. The Stevie Wonder owns the full step, and John Williams owns the half step.
I love to think.
That's
I love
very
to
impressive.
think
to own an interval. Of
they own
such
the interval.
simplicity.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple questions.
Couple answers.
Who are your... I've got 3 levels, and I think I've asked you this before, but it probably changes throughout. So, who are your favorite artists in 3 levels? First level is the bottom level, like no one knows who this is. They're not big, they're not popular. Likely, I don't know who they are. Like no one knows who they are. Second would be like middle level. There's someone that is not a household name, but is pretty big, or just has a career full time, and a lot of people know who they are, but
Okay.
it's not everybody. And then third level would be superstar, household name. Everybody knows who they are.
Okay.
Currently.
Now, this is fresh. This is very, very fresh.
Great.
Do I have to go in order, or if I already know 2 of them?
No, go whatever you want.
Okay. So my second tier. This is an extremely tough question, and you're right. It does change every week. Right now, my second level is Theo Katzman.
Yeah, cool.
If you don't know who Theo Katzman is, he's the lead singer for Wolfpack, but he also has 2 solo projects, or a solo project, has 2 records out. Top household name level is John Mayer. And oh man. Someone, okay, and then the first layer is someone who's on the rise, correct?
Someone who nobody knows, but like nobody knows. Like no one knows who this is.
Okay.
Ground level.
I'm trying to be quick here. Right. Okay. Honestly, right now, it's this guy, and his name's Hound Track. HOND Track. And he just makes instrumentals.
Sick.
But they're so nice. That I literally went and found him on Instagram just to message him. Because I listened to like this Apple playlist called Focus. It's that upbeat kind of stuff I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And it's normally just background noise, but this one was so crispy. I was like, okay, I got to find this guy right now.
Did he respond?
Do what?
Did he respond?
Super nice guy. I was like, man, thank you so much. He just has a couple songs out. But yeah, it's been a vibe. So Hound Track, Theo Katzman, John Mayer.
Okay. That's good. That's a great 3. Yeah, John Mayer's got to be it. You know who's also some, like, I think overlooked on that top tier? It's hard to say they're overlooked if they're on the top tier because obviously they're a household name. But Bruno Mars is a musical god. Mm-hmm. Like, he has divine power of music.
Yeah.
He is... Oh, the songs, like, if you just break down his songs, he does the same thing that Stevie Wonder does. Like, not at that level, but he's doing it, though. Like, he's taking these songs, like Versace on the Floor. Oh, my gosh, those chords and the melody, and he's singing, and he's done the, like, poppy stuff, like, I caught your grenade for you, yeah, yeah. Like, he's done that.
Great
and
stuff.
Then he's doing... He's doing more complicated things, and I think he is overlooked in the music community. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's overlooked in like the musicians. Like if I was with a group of musicians and I was like, man, my favorite artist is Bruno Mars, they'd be like, huh?
Because it's commercial as well, and I think musicians are sometimes they want to like the niche artist.
Yeah, totally. You get that with John Mayer too. Like there are a lot of there are a lot of people who are like, John Mayer, he's not the greatest guitar player of all time, and he's not this and that. It's like we're not necessarily saying he's the greatest guitar player of all time, but we're saying he might be the greatest guitar player of all time. But
we're not saying he is, but he is.
Speaking of that, the reason why John Mayer, there's an argument for him being the best guitar player of all time. When you have giant statements like that, like GOAT statements, like who's the best ever, who's the greatest of all time, you just have to define your criteria. So one thing you could argue with John Mayer being the best of all time is there are countless guitar players that can play better than he can when it comes to the just technical skill. Mm-hmm. But there's nobody on the planet who would play what he plays.
Right.
There are thousands and thousands of people who can play what he plays and better. Mm-hmm. But there's nobody that would play what he played if he didn't play it first.
Exactly.
When you think of all of his brilliant guitar intros, when you think of all of his solos and interludes, and then we're not even talking about lyrics. The dude's a lyrical savant.
Dude, I'm just now getting into his lyrics. I was so enthralled with his guitar playing for so long. I'm just now breaking down his lyrics.
Oh my gosh. Like Walt Grace, Submarine Ride.
Unbelievable.
We're going to read the lyrics real fast.
Yes.
Walt Grace. I remember my dad was actually the one. I love that the title is Walt Grace's Submarine Test, January 1967.
Dude.
That's the title of the song.
What an amazing title.
But my dad was actually the one who started listening to John Mayer and going, this guy, like, oh my gosh, these lyrics. I'm like, oh, like you. I was like, I just usually listen to the chords and the melody. Sure. But the lyrics, he's like, my dad was a songwriter professionally for a long time and has written beautiful songs. And so he's listening to the lyrics. And then I start listening to the lyrics. I'm like, oh my gosh. Walt Grace, desperately hating his whole place, dreamed to discover a new space and buried himself alive. Inside his basement, tongue on the side of his face mint, he's working away on displacement and what it would take to survive. Because when you're done with this world, this is the chorus, because when you're done with this world, you know the next is up to you. And his wife told his kids he was crazy, and his friends said he'd fail if he tried. But with a will to work hard and a library card, he took a homemade fan blade one-man submarine ride.
Wow.
Yikes. That morning, the sea was mad, and I mean it. Waves as big as he'd seen it. Deep in his dreams at home, from dry land, he rolled it over to wet sand, closed the hatch up with one hand, and pedaled off alone. And then the chorus, and then the last verse is, one evening, when weeks had passed since his leaving, the call she planned on receiving finally made it home. She accepted the news she'd never expected. The operator connected a call from Tokyo.
Bro.
Let's go.
That is unbelievable.
That is so every man's story, dream, I can do something and no one thinks you can and you think you're crazy. And it's like, guess what, mother trucker? Operator's calling you from Tokyo because that's where I am because I did it. And you said I could not be crazy and I did it.
So here I am.
And it's also cool because he said what he delivered the message.
Yeah.
But he didn't say, and then he made it. You know what I mean? He's just and then one day, wife picked up the phone and that's beautiful too. The wife picked up the phone and accepted the news she never expected. So it's she accepted the call because that's what you have to do when an operator talks to you. You have, okay, I accept this call. Yeah. But she was also accepting the message she never expected that she'd get a call in the first place.
There's so many. I love at his basement, tongue on the side of his face meant. Dude, like he's spitting bars.
I know.
Those are bars.
I'm doing
like,
speaking of bars, I'm doing a rap album. Just kidding. I'm doing
hey, I'm in.
I'm doing a podcast with B Keys,
Sick.
and we're just going to talk about lyrics and the Beautiful Mind crew. He's going to be a guest on here, and I'm really pumped.
That's great.
But we're just going to talk about lyrics, because talk about bars, like and a lot of like inner rhyming and rhyming one like compound word with 3 or 4 separate words like in this end of a sentence. Like that's what he did here with basement and facement. Yeah, and you see that a lot in hip hop. You see that a lot with B Keys. I love John Mayer, and I love that song. Dude, and we could do the whole podcast on John Mayer, because
we could.
Actually, let's talk about this.
I'm in.
Room for Squares. Awesome.
Yep. Great.
Continuum. Everyone's mind is blown apart.
Yep.
We've fallen in love. We're all in. We've got enough content and material to understand who he is, and we have enough to be obsessed, and we are obsessed. He's done it. He's gotten the pop people. He's gotten the musicians. He did it. We're obsessed.
Yep.
Then the next album he comes out with is Born and Raised. Is that right?
Battle Studies.
And then after that, it's just the same kind of feel. And then, was it Born and Raised then?
Yep.
Born and Raised comes out. I hated it.
Crickets.
Everyone trashed it. Everyone trashed it because it was completely different, because it wasn't what we expected. And this will preach. But when you have preconceived notions about something, often we can miss the beauty of it just because it's not what we expected and what we wanted it to be. What was your feelings when that song came out, or when that album came out?
So I remember going to Walmart and buying that on CD the midnight it was released.
Whew.
And I was like literally that excited, and got it. And I was like, this album cover is nuts. Like I was freaking out. I thought it was beautiful. I'm like, this is going to change my mind, or like blow my mind, not change my mind. And put it in the CD player, and I'm just kind of vibing. And I'm like, all right, John Mayer. Woo, John Mayer. And then second song, I'm like, all right, Johnny boy. All right, because I'm wanting Continuum Part 2. In my mind,
everyone is.
In my mind, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I listened to the whole thing all the way through, and it's just kind of like, yeah, all right. And I didn't want to say I didn't like it just because it was him. Because everything he does to me is gold.
Right. He's a god, like to us. Like he's a deity of music.
Yeah. Just like, and at that time, I hadn't really found my love for like country records or I'm not even calling it a country record, but you know what I mean? Folk records.
Yeah.
I hadn't found my love for that yet. I was still like pop charts, Continuum is up there, like, bumping. So I was like, this is a throwaway. This is a throwaway record. He'll go back. And then we're fast forwarding now. Now it's like one of my favorite records.
That's right.
Ever.
Like we get it. And I'm like, oh, this isn't anything I wanted. Everyone trashed it. Critics trashed it. We didn't, because again, like you said, all we wanted was Continuum Part 2. Mm-hmm. But John had something else in him, and I was like, I'm not feeling it. I got something else inside of me, and it's going to come out. So then when it came out, I wonder if he knew. I think he had to have known how it was going to go. Maybe not. I wonder if he knew, like, when the release, if he's like, as soon as people hear this, they're going to be pissed. Like,
yeah,
this is not what people want. I guarantee he had a fight with, I don't know this, but I bet he had a fight with the record label. I bet the label was like, what is this? What are you doing?
Yeah.
But at that point, he had enough notoriety where he can kind of just decide what was going to come out. And the record label didn't have as much power.
Man.
But like you said,
you know they had the
2 years later, 3 years later for me, I go back and listen to it. And all of a sudden, I'm listening to The Age of Worry I listened to The Age of Worry like a couple days ago. Oh my gosh, the lyrics in that and how relevant that is right now speak for me. Something Like Olivia.
Dude.
Walt Grace's Submarine Test, January 1967. Like,
I mean, the opening track, I think, is Queen of California, and just has that vibe. And I didn't appreciate it the first time.
I didn't either. And now it's like, oh, that's when I'm like, oh, he deserves to be in my opinion, it's hard because he's still alive. A lot of times we can't have this discussion until like their prime is way done and we've had a lot of time away from them. But in my opinion, that's why he deserves to be in the discussion as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Because
go ahead, sorry.
No, because he made something that was 3 years later people would get. And then now that we get it, it's one of our favorite albums. You and I, we've talked about this. Like, it's one of our favorites. Yeah. And because he was able to do that, like, he was right. We were wrong. And we discovered that later. And that it was brilliant. What were you going to say?
Dude, to your point about, I know that he's still alive. And I know that we definitely feel the same way about this. I am so, and I do the same thing. But I think we're just so over you got to wait till someone's dead.
Yeah.
To peg them the greatest.
Yeah.
Because
very good point.
Those people, I mean, someone has to be the best at what they do in their field at that time.
Yeah.
Or of all time. And so, when we're looking back at like Michael Jackson, they're like, oh yeah, definitely like the king of pop. And then he passes greatest of all time. Great. And it's like, he was already.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of like Vincent van Gogh, like that kind of symptom where Vincent van Gogh wasn't seen as great at all. And then he died, and then everyone started going crazy over his stuff. I think that was a different situation, but it's like there are somebody else that died that all of a sudden when they died, everyone was like the greatest of all time. It's like, wow, I sure wish he could have heard that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like
you get these people that do it. No, there are true fans, and I'm not dogging people. This is just straight from the heart. But the people that never listened to David Bowie, if you found David Bowie after he passed, that is awesome, because that means his music lived longer than he did. And I love that so much.
Right.
But if you start wearing David Bowie as a brand and going, great man, greatest of all time, such an inspiration, so creative, and now I'm out. That bugs me so much. Here's the pet peeve thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That bugs me so much because then it's similar to, and this is going to get a little hairy here.
Good.
This is going to get a little hairy.
Good.
Okay. This is when you went on American Idol and a lot of people were like, oh, my buddy Clark is on American Idol. My buddy Clark is in the top 10. My buddy, and you're like, bro, we wasn't buddies. And it's like, so it's like that kind of thing when people can use someone as someone's death as a creative, like, look at me, I'm trendy, I'm keeping up, and people were like, oh, that's pretty cool. You're a David Bowie fan? How it was great timing because he passed and you like his legacy, and like this is pretty neat. Anyways, rant over.
No, I'm with you.
We can get rid of this if you want, but I just like that stuff bugs me so much, and I think that you can be the greatest. You can be a goat and still be breathing.
Yes. There's the line right there. You can still be a goat and still be breathing.
Man.
Because goats like to breathe.
Goats be breathing.
That's good though. That's good. It was funny when I was on Idol and I did see like a lot of what was actually kind of funny, the funniest. I'll say two things. One, like, it was funny how I saw friends of mine get really offended at people who weren't very close to me acting like they were close to me. Because for me, I'm like, I don't care. They're promoting me so I can get more votes. Like, they're promoting me and being nice, and they're posting like, go see my friend Clark Beckham on we're the best friends ever. Like, no, we weren't, but I'm not mad that you're saying it doesn't bother me at all. I don't care.
Yeah.
But my friends were getting pissed. like Kyle Jaguar, our friend Kyle Jaguar was like ready to fight people as I can remember. Like people that were claiming me that didn't claim me before. Like he always has. He's always been a great friend and has loved me and supported me always, like you. And he would get heated. That was very funny to me. But the actual thing that was like my favorite is I sang and was like, I wasn't like a recluse in college. Like we went, so people that don't know, Austin and I met in college. We went to Lee University, and we were in campus choir together. Austin was a guitar player and I was a singer. And when I was at Lee, I wasn't a recluse and I sang a lot and I did a lot of like the extracurricular activities. So like I was well known among like general groups of people and like, and I sang then, and I was never really one to have a lot of female attention. Just didn't. And high school didn't really, like I had a girlfriend in high school and I dated someone in college for almost 2 years. Like, so I had a relationship, but as far as like general just female attention, I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy Clark, like not really. I took a lot of swings and missed on a lot. Like I would find a girl that I thought was attractive and cool and I would pursue and shut down 9 times out of 10. It's just, I don't know why. I just didn't have female attention. After Idol, those same girls that I would try to talk to and try to take to Inman Street Coffee, or that I would try to take to like Chill Howie or just hang out with, or it's just something that I'd try to talk to, those and wouldn't give me the time of day. There were 2 or 3 that hit me up afterwards. One girl who absolutely will remain nameless, but you know this person.
You won't name her.
Huh?
I said you won't name her.
Absolutely not. I absolutely would not do that. She hit me up and was like, hey, because I'd said like, hey, let's go to Chill Howie. I've never been. And she's like, what? You've never been to Chill Howie? That's crazy. I'm like, I need a tour guide. You know, just some stupid way to say like, come with me. So she's like, oh yeah, totally. And then it never happened. She would bail. We'd make plans and she'd bail like 4 times in a row. And finally I took the hint. She texted me, she's like, hey, you still owe me a Chill Howie date. And Chill Howie is like a lookout mountain thing in Chattanooga. And I just replied straight back. And I said, oh, I didn't know that I'd have to get runner-up of American Idol for you to go to Chill Howie with me, or I wouldn't have asked until now.
Oh, you dirty dog.
I was like, don't do this. It's so obvious. Like, she's not even being like clever. And she just replied, stop. STAWWWWWWP. Haha, like emoji heart or something like that. And I've never talked to her since.
I'm cringing over here in the best way. Ugh.
I know. It was a glorious moment though, because like those people, it's like, listen, you have absolutely zero, like there's zero interest on my part for people, for those people. But anyway,
that's so funny. It's so funny how that works. It's like the people that only want something from you when you get to a certain level of notoriety or success.
Yeah, I think they see the opportunity to have been a friend of someone who blows up, and they think they're missing their opportunity because they never became their friend.
Right.
And so they try to jump on that opportunity.
And subconsciously, sometimes they don't know that they're doing it.
Maybe, yeah.
And I'm in the music industry, so I'm socially aware of that. Mm-hmm. So I will not make a relationship and shake hands with someone like I'm only doing this because I'll get something in return.
Right.
I'm so afraid of that, and for people to ever think that about me. So we are socially aware of that. But people that are outside of it looking in, they're just like, oh, it's cool with him. Maybe I can be friends. Maybe that'll boost where I'm at in life.
Yeah.
And so they just try to climb.
Yeah.
It's messy.
I agree. I think, and then people like us who are aware, then I think sometimes we want to be someone's friend, but now we're afraid that they're going to think that we're trying to be their friend because of who they are.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I posted about you during Idol. I could be wrong, but I remember specifically it going so crazy in college of people like, it'd be like a group photo and it's zoomed in and you just happen to be standing next to somebody and they're just like, me and my friend Clark, he's on American Idol, and they're hanging out. And so I was like, I will not do that. And I was like, I'm not going to go dig up photos of us and say, look at this relationship that I have that benefits me as a person.
Right.
And I was so afraid of that. I don't think I mean, you were like, I had like 3 super, super close friends and you were one of them. And I don't think I posted about it for that reason.
What's funny is you were one of the people that could have.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, anyone could have. So anyone that did and everyone that did loved it. I don't care. You acting like we're best friends to everybody and I don't know who you are. I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
But you were one of the very few people that could have actually said those things and been true, and I wouldn't have minded at all.
Everyone ruined it.
But you didn't because you didn't want to feel like you were doing that.
Yeah.
And so that's when we're friends with people now that we are friends with that are of great notoriety. I still think sometimes we fall into that, like treating, like afraid for them to think that we're trying to maneuver around to get a benefit out of it when really they just want to be treated like a normal dude or a normal girl, like just a normal person.
That is it. And we've talked about that before. There's the fan zone, which is what you created, out of the concept of the friend zone.
Yeah. The fan zone and it's like, I remember I went into a church, funny enough, like I've done a lot of events over the past, holy crap, 5 years now since Idol. Over the past 5 years. Whoa. And I've done a lot in church and I've done more in like corporate events and fundraisers and random things. But then I've done also some like general assembly and like church things. Yeah. And I felt the most uncomfortable because people were treating me like I was a god. Like people were giving me way too much like glory and honor and like talking to me like I'm some deity and just weird. Like just, I felt the most uncomfortable in churches by a mile because I'd go to this place and I remember I walked in and I was supposed to be there at this time and go to sound check. Mm-hmm. So I walked through the doors, and I just asked the person at the front desk, like, "Hi, where's the sanctuary? Like, which door is the sanctuary?" And they said it's right there. I was like, "Thanks." And then I walked by, and then I kept walking, and they go, "Wait!" I was like, "Yes? Like, did you lie? Is this not the sanctuary? Like, what?" And they're like, "I am so sorry. I didn't know who. I am so sorry. I did not know who you were until now. Oh my gosh, please forgive me." I'm like, "Why are you doing this? Stop it. Just why? Why are you doing this? Like, what? Why are you sorry? What did you think I needed from you? Do you think I needed you to like glorify me before you told me where why are you doing this? Stop it. And then everyone I met, they're like, oh, hi there. Wow, golly gee. And it was just like all this extra stuff. And then there's this one guy who was just like, "Oh, hey man, do you know where your green room is? It's do you want me to show you real quick?" And he was just normal. And I was like,
I'm stuck to you forever.
It's like, stay with me.
Save me.
So that's like the fan zone and the friend zone. Like the fan zone is people like, "Oh gosh, can I get a picture?" Like da da da. And let me be really clear. Like I love taking pictures of people, and I love when people are really excited to see me. And TV does something to people. It does it to me. Like when you see someone on TV, and then you see him in real life, it's startling. Like,
Sure.
it's wild. And I am the biggest fangirl. Like, I've met people and totally done the fan thing and still do sometimes. I have to really try not to, but like, there's no problem with being excited and taking pictures, autographs. I love doing it. And if you've gone to my concerts, I don't leave till everyone has like seen me, met me, talked to me, signed, taken a picture, all that stuff. So, but the guy that was like, hey man, do you know where your green room is? I'm supposed to show you. It's over here. Do you want water or is this fine? Like that, I was like, ooh, everything I need, I'm going to talk to you.
Yeah.
And that's the friend zone because I felt like he was a friend because he was treating me normally.
Yeah.
And then everyone else
friend zone.
was treating me like I was some, shiny thing. And it was uncomfortable.
I really have grown to hate is a strong word. Really dislike when people treat you different based on who you are or who you're with. That's happened to me a couple times with like security detail at venues. Hey, where are you going? Blah, 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 whatever. And then I say, oh, I'm with insert artist. I'm with here. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, right this way. Can I get you anything? Can I do that? I'm like, so you were going to treat me like a jerk if I wasn't with this artist or if I wasn't playing this, So then it goes, oh, you're not being nice because of me as a person. You're being nice for me in my position.
Right.
And that's very frustrating.
You know who's the nicest, greatest security guy of all time? John Bellion's security guy.
Really?
And I want to absolutely jump outside my window because I can't think of his name right now. Rob.
Great.
His name's Rob.
Nicely done.
And
you don't have to edit that one.
He is the kindest, sweetest person on the whole tour, and a tour full of extremely
Great
kind,
people.
wonderful people.
I love that.
He's the sweetest, kindest guy ever. Great, beautiful smile. A bad dude if he needs to be. Like tattoos on his neck and like swole, and he's like 6'4". And
so me.
Do what?
So it looks like me.
Yeah, like pretty much like you was what I was gonna say. But
exactly, yeah.
And is like trained in martial arts and like has all these crazy stories. Like he works with Shawn Mendes, like when they do stuff. Like he works for all like the big people.
Sick.
The kindest, sweetest guy, and I've watched him talk to and just treats people like $1 million, whether they're an annoying fan who's trying to take advantage of a situation, or it's me, or it's John, or it's whoever. Like just treats him so well. That's one thing that I've noticed about John Bellion is he is like the team of people around him, especially the people are on tour, is like a garden to him, and he picks out the weeds. Like he makes sure that the people in that group are good, humble, sweet people that are not only like easy to work with, loving, kind, humble, but also like know their stuff, are very musically professional, and are very talented. And he just doesn't put up with anything else. If you're on the crew and you have an attitude and you're treating people like garbage, you're not gonna, I'd be shocked if you'd make it to the end of the tour.
Wow.
Like
I love that so much. Just surrounding yourself with good people.
He really focuses on, he even had, he had an opening act that he kicked off the tour that will definitely remain nameless. He had an opening act that he kicked off the tour because, and the label was like, no, you can't. Like he's your guy, 100%. He's like, no. Like he's doing this and that, and I told him not to, and he's continuing to do it, and it's disrespectful to other people on the tour. He's gone. He's not on my tour.
Good. That's how it should be, man. Because we are, our career is at stake based on, I hope that made sense, the people that we surround ourselves with. So guilty by association really comes in to play here. Yeah. You could specifically be, and you are one of the nicest, most incredible dudes ever. And then say I come on the road with you and I'm a jerk to somebody, right? And I'm like super, super mean to a fan. Yeah. It is not Austin Goodloe that was mean to that fan. It was Clark's guitar player that was mean to the fan.
Yeah.
So it's when you're the captain of that ship, if someone on the ship is being a jerk, then it's on you.
100%.
And everyone's going to look at you and go, well, why were you whatever? And so that's why I've had to have a lot of grace with band members or something for other artists if I kind of had a rough interaction, because I go, I know that those people aren't a direct representation, and sometimes the artist doesn't know that someone's being an idiot behind the curtain. So I'm going to let that slide because I know that the artist probably has good intentions. But when an artist sees it and goes, that's toxic, this is not an environment that I'm trying to create, you've got to get out of here. Like, I'm going to love you from a distance, but you're making this whole thing look bad. Mm-hmm. I love that so much. That's really, really important.
And because as an artist, like, I'll speak for myself, like, I feel responsible for the people that have trusted me with their night and their ticket money to procure the best night I can possibly make for them. Yeah. Like, that's my job. So not only does that happen by me singing well, but that happens by if they meet someone in my band, like you were saying, they have a great experience with it. If they meet my security guy, they have a great experience. If they meet my merch person, it's great. Everything. Like, and even the opener, even because I do local openers, like, even them, like, I say that I have to choose them or I have to approve them. And then I have an email that I send to them. It's like, hey, basically to make sure that their set doesn't have any inappropriate language or concepts that they're singing about that are promoting a destructive lifestyle of any kind. Like, because it's my responsibility. These people bought my ticket to come to my show, and it's my responsibility. So, and then also just for the well-being of the artist on tour. Like, when you have like a lot of people that you love and respect, and they love and respect you back, oh my gosh, it's the most fun. It's the most fun in the world.
Yep.
Like when we went on the West Coast tour with Nate.
Unbelievable.
That was some of the most fun I've ever had in my entire life.
Same. I actually watched that documentary a couple days ago.
Did you?
Yeah, and laughed a lot.
And we were loading in our own stuff. Like, you weren't even playing. Like, you were doing merch. Yeah. I was like loading in all the sound equipment. You were helping me, and Nate was doing. We played for like 15 people in Eugene, Oregon, where I will never go back to that venue, which also will remain nameless.
Right, that one. And you carried a keyboard on your back with an Oklahoma blanket over it in the rain.
Yeah, like, and it was the most fun because of the people. Yeah. And that's what John does a great job of doing, and that's what I really focus on to make sure, like, in my band, basically, if you're a player and you wouldn't help the opener tear down or move in, then you don't really have a good place in my band. Yeah. Like, you don't have a place on my team. Yep. Like, if you're not doing anything and you see they need help and you don't go to help them, it's like, that you're just probably not a good fit. You know what I mean? And that we go super deep into that, but
I totally agree.
And that's why I call you first. That's why I call Neiman first. That's why I call Jay Newsom, Marcus Wiles. Like, that's why I call you guys before I call anybody. Yeah. Because that is who you guys are. Yeah. Okay, I have a couple other questions.
I have a couple other answers.
We'll wrap this mug up.
This is great. I'm having so much fun.
This has been a great first podcast of all time.
Yeah, it's amazing. First podcast of all time. There's never been a
first podcast of all time. F-Pote. Why does that sound so funny? F-Pote.
F-Pote.
Okay. I've got like too many questions.
Dude, do you need rapid fire?
All right. Non-music related hobby.
Non-music related hobby.
Like, what's your favorite thing to do that has nothing to do with music?
Honestly, if I'm not, because I spend way too much time in my room.
In my room.
Yo,
real quick, did you see Sophia James on American Idol sing that song?
I did not.
When we get off here, you need to check out that
homework.
performance. She's she's the girl that did that harmonizing run with me. The I'm never wrong, that run, and she like harmonized all through it.
Yes.
So she's top 10 on Idol right now, and it was her performance. Anyway, you got to check that out.
Dude. Okay, non-favorite music hobby, I love photography. Not like, it's definitely not a profession for me, but I love taking pictures. I have a camera and I'll run around and shoot and edit, and it doesn't go anywhere. It's just for me.
That's cool.
But yeah, I'd definitely say photography.
All right, love that. Okay, this is my favorite question that I'm excited to ask different people, and then I'm kind of heated about. Can get heated about, but I think we'll agree on everything, so it won't be a deal. You, Austin Goodloe, have been awarded a producing spot on a music variety show. It is a live show on a stage. It's not being recorded. Just 300, 400 people, like max theater. Mm-hmm. And on this theater stage, there are 3 men and 3 women that are singers. They do group songs together. They do duets. They do solos. They do different things like that. You get to pick 3 guys and 3 girls, anyone you want, dead or alive, in their prime. Who are the 3 singers? Who are the 6 singers, 3 guys, 3 girls that you pick for the show?
Okay.
Different routines, different anything you can think of.
The 3 girls are going to be, and this is fresh too.
Sure.
Lynn and Stella. I'm blown away at her texture.
Awesome.
Bonnie Raitt.
Okay.
And Tori Kelly.
Okay, I'm going to write these down.
The 3 guys are going to be Michael Bolton.
Nice.
That is the easiest one.
Okay. He's a singer.
You, and not just because we're on this podcast.
Oh, man. Thanks, dude.
Michael Bolton, and I just want to cover everything. And Vince Gill.
I knew on my life you were going to say Vince Gill.
Yes, I love that so much. So with the women, I tried to keep it with like an artist that's modern now. Bonnie Raitt, just because, duh.
Okay.
And then I wanted some. I don't even know if you were going to ask why. And then a Tori Kelly, just because, also, duh. But I feel like that would be a great blend.
Got you. Okay. So here's mine right now, and I have a vast advantage over you because I've thought about this and asked this question for like years. Like I love this question.
Yours is gonna slay mine.
All right, because I'm in a show like this with a bunch of ex-American Idol contestants in at a resort in Punta Cana, and we'd go and do something like this. So that's what got me thinking. The 3 girls, and this is why I think you're wrong and you're missing some people. I think you're going to agree. And so you can change anything you want after this.
Keep in mind, I did mine as fast as I could.
Of course. And now I've had this in my head for years.
Okay.
Whitney Houston. Jennifer Holliday, who is the singer who originally did, you know that song, And I'm Telling You, I'm Not Going... and you, you're gonna love me. That song?
Yes.
Look up Jennifer Holliday, You're Gonna Love Me, or whatever it is. You Google whatever, you'll find it. And I'm Telling You. That's what it's called. Jennifer Holliday, And I'm Telling You. And watch the YouTube video. It's the greatest vocal performance I've ever seen in my life. Anybody, period.
Oh, wow.
Period. Male or female, doesn't matter. Jennifer Holliday, Whitney Houston, and Aretha Franklin. We're just gonna. I can't have Aretha and Jennifer. I need some variety. Whitney Houston, Jennifer Holliday, I'm going to skip and go to the guys.
Okay.
Here's a person that should be in there, and literally anyone who doesn't have them in their 3 guys is wrong. They're wrong. I know it's an opinion, but you're wrong.
Okay.
If you think about this person and then don't decide to put him in, you're wrong. Michael Jackson. With his dancing and everything he could do.
And his pitch.
Everything. Everything. If you think about Michael Jackson and decide not to put him in your 3, you're wrong.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Did you just think of somebody else?
Yes.
Who?
Keep going.
No, who?
Kenny Loggins.
Kenny Loggins. That's who you just got so excited about?
Dude, okay. You got to hear me out here. He has like 5 different tones.
All right.
Dude, okay, keep going.
Okay.
And yes, and Michael Jackson, of course.
Michael Jackson.
Of course.
I really struggle with Elvis. Because Elvis, star power, the it factor, the clothes, the everything, the dude can really, 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 really sing. So he would be awesome in there. But then I really struggle when I have people that aren't in there, like Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Al Green, those kinds of people. I'm like, oh, what about, ooh, ouch, ooh, what about, ah. So I'm just going to say, and then John Mayer.
Right.
So I'm going to say this for right now. Michael Jackson, John Mayer, and Stevie Wonder.
Now, okay, that's baller. Now, are they arranging and producing these performances?
You're producing the performances. So you can ask, so you can do whatever you want. So when you're the producer, you either like, I'm deciding everything that happens, or you go to them and like, what do you guys think we should do?
Because if I'm doing the what do you guys think you should do, I've got to have Ryan Tedder in there.
So you would put Ryan Tedder instead of Michael Jackson, Vince Gill, one of the guys.
No. I would put Ryan Tedder. Dude, this is the hardest question I've ever been asked in my life. Michael Bolton's staying there no matter what.
Great. Love that. Love that.
I think that Michael Bolton is the greatest singer of all time.
Whoa. Okay.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. He literally has hit notes that have made me tear up.
I get it.
I've been listening to like his weird, like his records, like deep cuts, like not just his like okay. Anyways, Michael Jackson has such a specific thing. It's beautiful. His tone, like he brings it to life.
If you say the word "but," I'm gonna come through the screen.
Okay, but okay.
Hey, go ahead. You have your right to your own wrong opinion. Go ahead.
No. Because I'm torn. Because my mind would be blown. But I'm also thinking someone with modern production experience has to be in this lineup for me. Has to be.
Okay.
Because I want to see that all come together. So if it came out right now, if this was on a TV right now, I've got to see it. I've got to see someone doing the 2020 pop thing or 2020 rock thing.
It's not a TV. So it's like, it's an experience that like a Broadway show. Like you just go, it's like, it's a theater, like a show that you go to.
I want to cover a wide variety of things.
Me too.
So I'm like, Michael Bolton for sure.
Okay.
Let's go Michael Jackson for the performance.
100%. Well, he's the greatest entertainer of all time. So how do you not have, in my very strong, bold opinion, how do you not have the greatest entertainer of all time not in your entertainment show, right?
He's in. He's in there. So
well, I don't want him to be in there just because I threatened you with coming.
You didn't. You've swayed my opinion.
Okay.
Now like people are going to think that I don't like Michael Jackson. I love Michael Jackson.
I know you do. I know you do.
I'm talking about like 3 people together, working together and collaborating on. I'm picturing just like different genres, different blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. So for the entertainment alone, dude wouldn't even have to sing. if he didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could walk out and his presence it's just there.
So we got Michael Bolton, Michael Jackson.
Now I want to go Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars would be fantastic.
Now, if I want to go genre specific, I would like to go Bruno Mars, Justin Timberlake, Michael Jackson.
Sure.
Now, Michael Bolton's literally only in there for his voice.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to dance.
Oh yeah.
But if they had to perform, like sitting on 3 stools and not just sitting there in suits and black and white, I'm going Michael Bolton, Michael McDonald, and Kenny Loggins.
It's your show. They can do whatever you want them to do.
Why did you do this to me and not give me time to think? You should have texted me last night. This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
I know, it's fine.
Okay. Here's my final.
All right.
Oh, man, I was so stuck. Okay, here's my final. Timberlake, Bruno Mars, Michael Jackson. I can't believe I took Michael Bolton out of there. I can't believe it. But just for performance.
I can't either.
Just for performance.
For the show that you want to make.
God, stop.
Because I'm like, for example, when I do this show, I don't dance around. I can't, like, there's some choreography that if I have to do, I do it. Like, we step around and there's some little things, like, I'm not a good dancer at all. So, like, I don't dance around. And I do well. Like, the show's great and everybody does well. Like, Ace Young is on it and he moves amazing. So, he's dancing and doing great. Matt Gerard is on it. He's amazing. He's dancing, doing great. And then I'm the guy that's like always has an instrument in his hand and is just like singing like Michael Bolton stuff. And it works because, again, variety. Let me add one more element. Let's just leave it where it lay. Let me add one more element. Who would you like as your host? For example, who I would have as they can sing too, but they're not in any of the acts. They're talking to people. They're like, how you guys doing? And they might have their own little solo songs here and there, but they're greeting everybody. And I have mine. Again, I've thought of mine for a long time. Let me say mine, so it'll give you a good example. Mine would be Sammy Davis Jr. Because that dude has an argument to be in one of the 3 spots too, because he can dance like a madman.
Yeah.
So Sammy Davis Jr. and then his voice and his singing, he's a very funny guy. You know who also would be really good? Dave Barnes.
Oh my gosh.
He'd be great.
He would be perfect.
Okay.
Making people laugh.
Let's think of yours and then we'll move on. Because we stayed on this for a long time.
Dude, I know. I feel like the host, I'm trying to capture everything in this with this host. And I also want to pick someone that I feel like I could listen to talk for hours. Okay. But like I want it to be songwriter, performer, singer extraordinaire.
Yeah, it's your show, whatever you want.
There's a lot of really great. I also want someone that's just going to react like crazy to stuff.
Cool.
Dude, this is extremely difficult. I think Dude, I'm having such a hard time. Michael Jackson would be a great host.
Maybe.
Man, you know what? I'm going to go with Jamie Foxx.
Love it. That's such a good choice.
I'm going to go with Jamie Foxx. Monster singer, monster. He's great at speaking. He's funny.
He's a comedian.
Yeah.
That's a great choice. Great choice. I didn't even think about doing a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Like, Sammy Davis Jr. is known to be very, very funny, and he dances, and he's great, and all that stuff, and he sings, and he's amazing. True. Very overlooked today. People don't realize how good of a singer he was. But even having, like, Nate Bargatze or, like, just a straight up stand up comedian like
Just a
Chris
comedian.
D'Elia
That would be unbelievable.
or like Andrew Schultz. Okay, all right, I'm going with a comedian. I changed it. Oh my gosh, I could resurrect Sammy Davis Jr. though in his prime. I'm picking a stand up comedian. I'm just gonna go for the sake of time. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'll go with Nate Bargatze. But I think
Thick.
Jamie Foxx is like perfect.
Dude, you know what? I almost went with Elton John.
That's interesting. I totally disagree.
Well, that's why I didn't do it. But I was thinking like he was the epitome of performance.
Yeah, you're right. No, totally.
Like just like way out there on purpose.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be shocked by anything.
Oh, of course. When you said that, I'm thinking of him right now.
No. I'm thinking
no,
of like
course,
Troubadour Elton
Of course.
John.
No, you're right. That's a great choice.
But Jamie Foxx, easy.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really good one. Okay, a couple more rapid fire questions, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Yeah. And then we'll start recording.
Yeah, right.
This
I'd
is
be
all
so
pre-show.
pissed if I was like, I didn't record. If you're in a band, you get a gig, and you don't know anybody in the band, but you can pick one person in the band is going to be like pro level, one of the best players you've ever heard in your life, and everyone else is going to be average. What band member do you pick?
Does it have to be someone who's famously known for being pro level?
No, just their skill. Like you go into a band, and one of these players are going to be just one of your like just high level player, and everyone else is going to be average. Who's the top level player? What instrument would you pick to be the top level player? Not the person who would be the person, but like, does that make sense?
Yeah. It's very genre specific for me.
Between the drummer, keyboard player, bass player, and guitar player.
Okay, well this one might be someone that not everyone knows. Is that a problem?
No, what I mean is, what are those four things? Would you pick the drummer to be the best one?
Oh,
Would you pick? See, that was my fault. I didn't explain
drummer,
that well.
drummer all day.
Drummer all day?
Yeah, all day. I mean, I don't care if you have the best keyboard player in the world and the best bassist and all this. If the drummer sucks, you suck.
Now, he doesn't suck, so everyone's fine. And then one person's like, the best. You'd pick drummer still.
Drummer, yeah, his heartbeat.
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry, I thought you meant pick one player.
I know. I knew that's what it sounded like I was saying. Okay, now if you could pick any instrument in the world, you have all of your musical ability that you have today, but you could pick one instrument in the world to be the greatest player in the world at that instrument. What instrument would you pick?
Piano.
Nice. Greatest piano player in the world. I asked Steve Jordan that question. Do you know what he said? Oboe. I'm like, okay, screw you, bro. Like, no, you would not. No, you would not. Somebody said, but then it's like when you say a silly instrument, like someone said triangle, like just trying to be funny, the triangle. And I was like, think about how beast you would be if you were the greatest triangle player of all time in the world. Like, think of all the things you could do with that triangle. Yeah. That'd be kind of sweet.
You know what? The greatest perk guy, like percussion.
Yeah.
That would be pretty dirty too.
Yeah. The unsung hero of
because there's like three.
Bands.
There's like three right now. And they're the call for everything. Like Eric Darkin in Nashville. If you're getting perk put on something, he's more than likely doing it.
Wow. I didn't know that. Because
it's such a niche. It's such in this, there are drummers that are like, yeah, I mean, I'll play perk.
Right.
Then there's guys who are like, I play perk.
Right. Right.
Like aux keys guys.
Okay, you get a call and someone wants you to go on tour with them. you get to pick who that person is. So if you could tour like a world tour with any singer, any artist in the world today, who would that artist be?
I mean, I hate to just keep trending on this, but it's John Mayer.
That'd be so sick.
It's John Mayer.
That'd be so sick.
I remember watching DVDs of him, like the Where the Light Is and all that stuff, and just like gawking at Robbie McIntosh and David Ryan Harris, just like, that is awesome.
Yep.
You play the parts on the records that he doesn't want to play. And it's like, which I know, I feel like I could go right now and play. If he did continue him top to bottom, I feel like I could go do it right now.
Yeah.
Like I've actually dreamed about being, I know everyone's done this, and I think we've talked about this, of being in the crowd and someone going, you know, like, someone want to come up, play a song or whatever. And
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, you pick, because I know. I don't care if it's War of My Life from Battle Studies, John Mayer's least favorite recorded song. I know it.
I love that. I love that. I think Isaiah Sharkey is the best guitar player I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him. He played after me, actually, in New York. So he actually joined me on stage to play for a song.
Yeah.
Because he was the one that played on I Need.
Yep.
And so when we did I Need, he was the show after me. So he came up early and played along. And then I saw his show afterwards. They had an hour slot. They're the last ones, but they had an hour slot. And in New York, it's like really strict. Like you have an hour slot. He played for 3 hours.
Whew.
He played for 3 hours, never sang a note. Had a full band. The place was packed, and you couldn't take your eyes off him. Like,
wow.
It was the way that he was playing the guitar, by far the best guitar player I've ever seen.
Wow.
Just the stuff he was doing, I was like Jacob Collier level, like stuff on guitar.
Jeez.
Let's see if I have anything else.
These are great questions, by the way.
Thank you.
Really, every single one of them, I've like been sweating, like nervous to answer, because I know that I'll go back and listen to this and go, I should have said Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Okay. What makes a good MD? Of all the MDs that you've worked with, even like in church, like at the Belonging, when there's kind of a different guy every time, in the bands that you've played in all of your experiences, like what makes a good MD?
Okay.
Music director. MD stands for music director, by the way, for people that don't know.
Communication is number one. Being able to communicate what you're feeling or how other people are feeling, that is huge. That is huge. Confidence in what you're doing. If you're leading a band into a direction and you feel unsure, then the band feels unsure. The MD is driving the ship.
Yeah.
So if the captain went, I don't should we turn here? Should we repeat that? Should we repeat that chorus at the end? Everyone's going to go, is this ship going to sink or are we good? But if the captain goes, yeah, we're turning left here, so y'all better turn left. Same as I'm also turning away from the mic. I hope you can still hear it.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Also same as, well, no, we are repeating that chorus. There's no other way. Then the band's just like, okay, we're following you. This is why you were in position. Being really good at saying no. And by that, I mean, there are some people that are really, really good at telling you no. So, for instance, say I have an idea and I pose it to the MD. Should we do this? If the MD just goes, nope, then I'm like, that stung a little, but okay. But if the MD goes, man, I love where your head's at. That idea is really great. Thank you for putting your input. What if we, and then he puts his spin on it. He's saying no, but he's not making me feel dumb for saying that. So one thing that I respect that you do specifically is you'll say, I'll hear you out and we can try it. You know, I could say, can we do 5 key changes in this verse? And even if you think it's really dumb, you'll go, there must have been a reason why you said it. One, because you're in my band, so I trust you.
Right.
So let's try it. Before I say no, let's try it. And if not, then I'm going to shift it into something that I think works. So being really good at saying no, communication, and confidence in what you say, along with if you are the MD, you're obviously an incredible musician. You know your music. You know you're on time. You have all that stuff already. But the stuff that people don't talk about, the confidence, the communication, I think that is my medium answer of that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what's important is like, I think a lot of it as an MD and as a leader, like you cannot assume you know best.
Correct.
So like what's interesting is you have to have confidence in what you're doing. But if you assume you know best, that means every idea is a no. That means if you say an idea, it's like, no, because I know better than you.
Right.
But because also a big thing as an artist MD, I guess, is when you pick your band, there are two schools of thought. One, if you play an instrument, you pick your band and you make sure the band knows how to play the part, but they're not going to outshine you musically. Yeah. And so it looks like you're the best player on the stage, and that elevates your presentation of who you are and your brand and the whole thing. And then the other school of thought is and kind of what I do is I'm the worst musician on the stage as far as instrumentation goes, bar none. I'm strictly instrumentally speaking, by far, I'm the worst on the stage. And that's why the band is so freaking good. Like, not only do I respect everyone so much because everyone's better than me in what they're doing, but like, anytime someone has an idea, I'm excited. I'm like, sick. You got an idea, let's see if it works. And let's see if we need to tweak it. Or let's see if it doesn't work at all. Because we all have ideas that don't work at all. Are just totally a miss. Like, and that's fine. So when I'm on stage, but here's where it rubs against, I think, is like, if I want to play guitar solo, I have to make sure that your guitar solo is enough away from mine where people don't compare it. Just practically speaking, because what I'm not going to do is play guitar solo right after you or right before you. Unless we did it like a bit. Unless I like played my guitar solo and then you like stepped in front of me and just ripped and the spotlight went on you and did all this extra funny like stuff and it'd be kind of funny. Right. Like and self-deprecating, like I might do that because that's kind of funny. Yeah. But otherwise, like, so that's like a sacrifice I make. But when people come to my shows, when I have a full band, people freak out because the band is so good. They talk about how great the band is. Because I make sure to get people that are way better than me. Best I can possibly find. You know what I mean? Totally. Well, man, thank you for doing this. Thanks for talking.
Dude, this was so awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. I enjoyed it. I think we went an hour and a half.
That's great.
Yep. I think that's a nice solid amount. I have no idea. This is my F-Pote. So,
dude, first podcast of all time.
So, thanks for being on. And I don't know how to end these things either. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you, dog.
Bye.